Morning, everybody. So, picture this. You walk into your kitchen, and your kitchen is full of T12 tubes because you live in the 1970s. And you go ahead and flip the switch, and the bastard doesn't start. And this has been going on for years. You gotta keep flipping the switch over and over again until it lights, or you finally just get fed up and go up to it and give it a whack. And then it finally lights. So, I'm going to show you one common cause of this in older houses, and my temporary, it's not really temporary. Temporary fixes are only temporary if it breaks. But anyways, I'm going to show you how to possibly, this doesn't work for everybody, but I'm going to show you how to get around this problem. And the problem in question is, so a lot of older houses, they didn't have ground wires, or they didn't have proper grounding. Sometimes they were grounded through the armored cable, the outer sheath. And if it was using non-metallic cable, well, then you're out of luck because it only had the two conductors, the live and the neutral. And one thing that a lot of people don't mention is that older T12 tubes, yes, I am aware that this is a T8 bulb. You're not supposed to do this, but this is the way I found it. And don't question the duct tape. Stop asking me questions. Anyways, where was I? Right. So, one thing that a lot of people aren't aware of is that the older T12 style tubes, they actually required a ground for reliable starting. I'm not sure why this is, but one thing that kind of proves this is, of course the light keeps starting now without a ground now that I'm recording. Anyways, it won't do it now because probably the tube is warmed up enough that the thermionic emissions or whatever, like it doesn't, like, once it's warm, I'm pretty sure it doesn't really need the ground for reliable starting anymore. But anyways, the point is, most of you have encountered this before where you'll flip the switch and the light doesn't turn on. Maybe the tube ends glow orange a little bit, and then if you give the tube a tap or grab it with your hand, it usually starts right away. And that's because you're giving it a path to ground. At least that's what I think is going on. I'm no expert. So anyways, here's the guts of the tube. As you can see, I've disconnected the ground for demonstration purposes, and it's just sitting there. This is a T12 ballast. It's very old and crusty. And yes, it's running a T8 tube. Do not do this. If I haven't mentioned this already, don't do that. It'll wear the tube out faster. You might even blow up the ballast early. If it's a T12 ballast, use a T12 tube. It's as simple as that. So some of you might have noticed this neutral wire hanging off to the side with the end taped off. I was too lazy to hide that, but basically that's my secret to getting these to start without a ground. So the theory behind this is the ground and the neutral are tied together at the fuse box. So what people used to do in the past, and some people still do to fool inspectors, is that, especially in receptacles like this, they'll connect the neutral and the ground together in a house that doesn't have a proper ground to create a false ground. And you could do that too. So this starts, you could connect a neutral pigtail off to where the ground is, but don't do that. That's stupid. You're an idiot if you do that. Instead, what you could do is get yourself some solid 14 gauge wire and connect it to the neutral, and then bring a loop of it out like this, a length of it out like this, and then tape off or murret the end, and maybe even feed the other end back in here. But what you're going to want to do is something like this. Wrap the wire around it sort of like this. And what this will do is this will sort of give, I don't know if the electrons jump through the air or what, but this will give them a path to ground. And the tube should start more reliably. Now, I've had it work most of the time. It's definitely way better than before. I've let this tube cool down for a while now, so let's plug it in and see if it starts reliably. And by the way, this works better if your tubes are enclosed behind some kind of diffuser or some shit so that you don't see the wire. If it's open like this, obviously this looks kind of ugly, but if you have tubes like this in your house, like all exposed, you've got bigger problems than that wire in this day and age. Upgrade to some shit like this, these T5 LEDs. These are quite attractive. Or maybe be like everybody else with no imagination and get some pot lights. Anyways, let's plug her in and see what happens. Started. Let's try that again. Started. Try that again. Started. Try that again. Started. Keep in mind, I've let the tube cool down. So in this situation, without this, it wouldn't have started, or it would have been unlikely to start. Oh, and if I haven't mentioned it before, I think I've already mentioned it twice, but this is the wrong tube for the fixture, and that could also contribute to starting issues. So make sure you use the right tube, obviously. I'm going to replace this one. This one's at the end of its life. So I hope this helps out somebody that's been struggling with one of these no starting or inconsistent starting conditions on their old T12s. And remember folks, have some fun under the tubular sun.